We are your home theater and AV questions answered. This is AVRant. Want your home theater or AV question answered by Tom and Rob? Send it to question@avrant.com. Welcome to AVRant. I'm Tom Andry, and I'm here with
Rob H.
Ted. Ted bought the Sony UBP X800 Ultra HD Blu-ray player that we've recommended a few times on the podcast for anyone who doesn't need Dolby Vision support. Ted is still waiting to upgrade his display and AV receiver, so he's currently using Panasonic 1080p plasma and a Denon AVR 790. That's an old one. Since neither are 4K or HDCP 2.2, he ought to just be able to use one HDMI output connection for now. Correct?
Should be able
Should,
to.
but I don't see any reason why not. It can put out 1080p.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be
yeah,
fine.
You should be able to set the Oppo to 1080p output,
Yeah,
plug that into your AV receiver, and have the AV receiver pass.
It's not
it over
Oppo,
the
it's a
Panasonic.
Sony. UBP
Sony, sorry.
X800. Okay, don't mess with me, dude.
I misspoke. I screwed up.
All right, that's all right. Okay, just in case, he tried sending video directly to the Panasonic Plasma. He used the X800's second audio-only HDMI output to send audio to his Denon AVR, no matter what connection method he uses and what setting he's tried on the X800 player. The image is ridiculously soft. Even the menu is blurry and has tons of anti-aliasing, as though the player is sitting on a 480i image. His other sources look sharp as a tack, so what is going on here? Dude, I don't... No,
I don't know either. I mean, I've read several reviews of the Sony X800, and a couple of them have mentioned connecting it to a 1080p display because they want to see if it can convert an Ultra HD Blu-ray to something that looks good on a 1080p. And they're like, it does it really well. Everything looks sharp and clear. And upscaling DVDs, they say it does a really good job of that. So I honestly don't know.
Check the settings on your TV. Is it possible that you're on an sometimes they have like one HDMI input that's like better than the others or worse than the others? Is it possible you'll try a different HDMI input? Is it possible your TV is forcing it to send out a 480i signal for some reason?
Although he said he tried going into the AV receiver first, which means the output from the AV receiver is going to the normal whatever input he's using on the TV.
No, but he
for all
said
his
that
other sources.
He didn't say that. He said just in case.
He did try that first, and then he also tried the separate. He's like, no matter what, he's tried manually setting the output resolution of the Sony player to all of its different settings, and no matter what, it's looking super blurry. I really don't know. Because that doesn't line up with any of the reviews I've read of this player. I haven't experienced the player for myself, but if it was this, somebody would have commented on it.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm guessing there's a button? I hate to say that, but sometimes there is. Sometimes there's a button on the remote that
doesn't even have any analog outputs of any kind.
Yeah,
so it's not that. This one is stumping me. I truly don't know what this would be because from everything I've read about it, it's very good at scaling anything to 1080p.
I've had players before. I don't know that this is one of them, and it was an Oppo player where you had a resolution button on the remote you could cycle through the resolutions. And it was great because then I could use it to test displays. I could send it the 480i and see what it did.
I'm trying to think. Could there be like a screw up in the EDID information from the plasma that's telling the player to output 480 resolution or something? I mean, I'm a bit stumped by this.
You should be able to force it to send out 1080p or 1080i,
which he did. He said he set the player to not auto but 1080p, and it still did this. Still looks super blurry. Even the menu, right? When even the menu of the player comes up looking all weird and blurry,
that means that's the whole thing.
That's just weird.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you just got a lemon.
It could be.
It's not
take it back.
Completely out of the question. Yeah.
He says the X800 supports Netflix. How could you tell? It was blurry. And so according to reviews, it can send 4K and HDR from Netflix as well as 24p instead of converting everything to 60 frames per second. But right now with his 1080p equipment, he's finding that the Netflix app won't send Dolby Digital Plus audio, only Dolby Digital 5.1. Also won't send Super HD, which is Netflix's highest 1080p quality. Should you just return this player in favor for a different brand, or is it something Sony is likely to fix with the firmware update? Well, dude, at this point, I have no idea what's going on with this player. You should return this player and have them give you a new one of the same
I would
brand.
exchange it first.
Yeah.
Because this is weird. Now all this Netflix stuff, that could just be the case.
It could be how fast your connection is too. I don't know, man. If you got a T1 line going into your house.
Well, that's the other thing. I mean, since this is an internet connection, either Wi-Fi or Ethernet going into this player, it's possible that the player itself is not, working with high enough bandwidth to make Super HD work. Because Super HD. That doesn't really have any. I guess there could be a Netflix app out there that doesn't support it, but that would be weird.
There is. Oh man, I've got saved too on my Netflix account, and Ted probably knows about this, but search for it if you can, or maybe we'll find it and post it in the show notes. There is a specific video that you can stream that will tell you from Netflix. It's like a test video that will tell you what resolution you're getting.
Although he probably knows that if he knows that it's not doing Super HD.
Yeah, I don't know. So maybe something like that's going on or something. I don't know, dude.
Yeah,
this whole thing is screwy.
The Dolby Digital 5.1, that I'm not super worried about because people think that Dolby Digital Plus automatically means higher quality, but it doesn't. Dolby Digital Plus can mean less bandwidth than vanilla Dolby Digital at the same quality as Dolby Digital, which is why streaming services like it.
Right.
It doesn't necessarily mean higher quality. And a lot of players, they take the Dolby Digital Plus stream from Netflix, internally convert it to just regular Dolby Digital to output it, but you don't actually lose any quality.
Yeah. I wouldn't worry about that at all.
That I'm not super worried about. You don't even have the option of Atmos output until you have the 4K resolution streaming plan. You have to go to the highest tier and pay the most per month to even have the ability to output Atmos. So that's what you were worried about, is that you're not getting Dolby Digital Plus bitstream right now, and you're worried about Atmos. You don't even get that until you're using the 4K tier. So that could be one part of it.
Yeah, he might not be paying the extra for it. I mean, why would he?
Yeah.
He doesn't have 4K anyways, so why would he? So that could very well be it too. So Ted got the Pile audio subwoofer isolation platforms we suggested. If they cut the bleeding of the bass to the room downstairs, it's only by about 1 dB, he thinks.
Yeah.
So if that, maybe it was nothing. It didn't sound very significant to him. So they definitely were not effective in his case. So is he doing something wrong? Would some other dampening device work better? Yeah. How about closing the door? Could we do that? Is that not factoring in here? Because this is the door that never closes, right? If I remember correctly.
This is the door that never closes.
I mean, listen, there is no isolation platform that's going to keep the bass in this room if you do not close the door.
Now, I was thinking maybe the door downstairs, like this is the room directly below the theater.
Right, I understand.
And maybe the door to that room is closed, so he's thinking, well, if I go into that room downstairs and close the door, the bass isn't as loud, but now I can hear it coming like straight down through the floor. Right. I don't even know if that's the situation, but I'm thinking that's a potential scenario. So I mean, this is kind of why.
Do you have an air exchange? I mean, between these two rooms, a lot of times they have the vents that just go straight through.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't
share an air return.
If they share an air return, you are there's nothing you can do about that. This is stopping the structural shaking of the sub from shaking the structure of your house and making it reverberate in other rooms. That is what this isolation platform is fighting. What it does not do is stop the air in the room from leaving the room.
Yeah, if there's any flanking path, and it could be the electrical outlets.
Exactly.
Your electrical outlets are not airtight sealed. The air can move in behind there. If you share a bay between electrical outlets, top and bottom, the bay's that's a flanking path. It's gonna go right through.
I guarantee this is a air return thing. I mean, they're rooms on top of each other.
Yep.
They're gonna share an air return. There's gonna be two vents that are probably 2 feet apart.
Or maybe he just has no closed doors on either of them, which would explain it.
Ted does not close doors.
Normally,
the man walks into place, the door's open. He is not going to close. If it closes by itself, that's between the door and its maker. But Ted does not close doors. It is against everything he stands for as a human being. Does not close doors.
On principle.
On principle. He stands for his principle. All doors should be allowed to be opened. And stay that way. My
normal advice for most people who are wondering whether they should get an isolation platform is fold up a couple blankets, put it under your sub. In the case of a downfiring sub, turn your sub on its side, because that's fine, not going to affect how it works. And try it first, because a damping platform isn't always going to solve. If your problem is structural vibration, it'll help with that. It's not going to eliminate it, but it'll help a great deal with that if that's your problem. But you need to figure out whether that's your problem first, usually. Now, I mean, if he bought these from Amazon, he can return them, so he's not completely out money or whatever. But yeah, if you put your subwoofers on top of these isolation platforms and it didn't cut the sound downstairs, that is a clear indication that the problem is actually a flanking path and not structural vibration. Right. You've done the experiment now, unfortunately spent money to do it, but you've done the experiment now, and now you know that's the culprit.
Right. Yeah.
Soundproofing is hard, man.
Close the door. I'm sorry. Close the door. I yell at my children to close doors all the time. Ted does not close door. He comes to my house and be like, Ted, dude, seriously, close the door. I'm sorry, dude. I can't do it. Want your question answered? Send it to question@avrant.com. This is AVRant.
Now go out and listen to something.